No, it's not going to stop the boats because these are determined people. First of all, if you're going to be thinking of building detention centers to house people who are already so traumatized by war and putting them in detention centers. We've seen the detention centers that were funded by the EU in Libya. Those turned out to be horrendous and actually turned out to be places where people were actually being sold on the open market into slavery.
But that's not going to be the case in France.
It's not. Okay, from history, we know that detention centers, whether in this country, whether in France or anywhere, tend to be quite horrendous. And these are people who are traumatized by war. And the question we should be asking, why are these people escaping?
Yeah.
I remember in 2010, or was it 2012, sometime back, David Cameron coming to the nation asking whether he can go and bomb Syria. This is the result of that.
Yeah, but we didn't.
I think we did.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
No, Parliament was asked for permission to bomb Syria, and Parliament said no, and we never did it.
Okay.
I think you're talking about Libya.
Russia is and still bombing.
Okay, there's the war in Syria is actually a lot more complex because it's a proxy war.
Please.
I don't think it matters who's responsible
What you
for
were talking
Syria.
about, I think, to help you out here is Libya, not Syria.
Syria? Yes, I do actually remember the Syrian war. I do remember the Syrian war.
But I think what you're thinking of is the fact that David Cameron wanted permission to bomb Libya. Gaddafi, when they were trying to save 10,000 people from being murdered by Gaddafi in Benghazi.
But I'm not talking about the Libyan war. Right. I know it's not the Libyan war I'm talking about the Syrian war. Somehow this nation has been involved in some of these places, and it's undeniable. And these
but we
are
weren't
the refugees.
involved in Syria. That's the point I'm trying to make, and you keep insisting that we were.
Okay. So where are these refugees coming from? They are coming from. Afghanistan. I seem to remember the British were involved in Afghanistan.
Correct.
They're coming from Syria. They're coming from Sudan.
Iran.
And they're coming from Iran. And they're coming from, some of them, Eritrea. That's where they're coming from. Now, there's nobody who cannot say that these places are not places of war or places that are horrendous. Now, it takes so much, no matter what people here think, it takes so much for people to just walk away from their families, from their countries.
And they're going to come through a series of safe countries. There's no earthly reason why the UK should take them all.
So
yes,
do you think that they choose to actually risk their lives in a boat when there's a safe route? When there's a safe route,
they've come right across Europe before they ever got to the Channel.
Because some of them already have families here. Some of them have mothers. They have fathers in this country. And this is why they're coming here. And also, a lot of these people are coming from, so for example, the people from Afghanistan, some of them were working for the British forces when they were out there. Mm-hmm. And they were promised that they would be resettled. There was never any, a lot of them are having to come here because their lives are in danger because of the service that they provided for us. The way we are villainizing human beings is really cruel, and it doesn't reflect well on us. I know we're using the Australian model, and the Australian model is not one that anybody should be looking to emulate.
Christine.
I just come from the House of Commons, and
it's very difficult to have cooperation from the EU after we were so rude to the EU, and
we weren't. We left after a democratic vote.
Fair enough. But remembering what Liz Truss said about the relationship with the French, and before that, it was very cordial, and it does look as though Rishi Sunak is trying to go somewhat towards mending the relationship. It's really difficult when it seems like you've been antagonizing people, and yes, this is a global problem, but then we've got to go to the stem of the issue: wars. And we've got to look at the role that we play in these wars and the provision of arms to these countries. That does actually cause the problems that we're having right now. Just throwing money at this, to the French, it's not going to work. It's not going to stop the boats. And this is a very good policy for people to, as we're heading to the election, this, some people will look at this as the only policy that the current government has to fight the next general election on. And unfortunately, the most vulnerable vulnerable people are being they're being thrown under the bus in order for a political statement to be made. It's completely unfair and I would say cruel, because these are people who are genuinely traumatized. These are the law of the law. If you're going to pick on anybody, don't pick on somebody who has lost everything. These are people who've lost their families, their children. Despite what anybody says, there are children coming here. There are women, there are pregnant women. There are all sorts of people coming here. People keep saying that they are fighting age men. They're not fighting age men. And even if there are, they're probably coming here because they need to find a way of rescuing their families. It's what any father would do. And I think we really have to find the humanity in all of this, because a lot of this is being emulated by countries like Tunisia and other countries that are using the rhetoric that is being used here. They're using it in their own countries.
Just going back to Syria, we were both right. I was right. Yeah. I was right in 2013, but you were right in 2018.
I knew.
So apologies.
Yeah, that's okay. I knew.
David, I know you want to